Hello everyone, my name is Emulis. Today I will be telling you some tips on how to defeat all Sekiro Shadows Die Twice bosses. This is my first video on the channel, so leaving a like would be gladly appreciated. Also leave a comment down below on what you want to see on this channel. I will be making gaming videos, guides, tips and tricks, etc. Okay, that's enough for my introduction. Let's not waste any more time and get straight into the video. The first boss you're going to encounter is Gyobu Masataka Oniwa. The best way to kill Gyobu is to stay close to him, parrying his attacks to exhaust his posture. When you first face him, don't be afraid to just hold down block while you learn his attack patterns. Most of them are slow 3-attack combos and you'll work out the parrying timing perfectly. The one to look out for is a triple attack which starts with a right-handed slash followed by a quick stab from his left, finishing with a slow overhead strike. If you can parry the first two quickly and then time the third, you'll stagger him, dealing massive posture damage and giving you time to get in 3 or 4 sword swings. Also be careful of quick slashes from his right side as he rides past. Just be ready to mash the block button. When he rides away from you, sprint towards him and grapple when the Q pops up above his head to keep him close. This will help you avoid his powerful long-range strikes. If you can't get to him and he charges at you, don't be afraid to just hold down block to avoid taking damage while you wait for him to get back into his familiar close-range rhythm. The next boss you're going to face is Lady Butterfly. It shows that she only has 1 health bar, but in fact she has 2 phases. Yes, her health bar is a lie. She summons ghostly illusions in her second phase, which can be a pain to deal with. Her first phase, however, is simple. Focus on staying in her phase and blocking her combos. She has a couple of 3-hit combos, one slower and one faster. You can learn their cadence by just blocking the first time you meet her. When you've worked your way up to parrying the 3 blows, follow up with your own flurry and then go back into parrying. When the red kanji symbol flashes on screen, she's about to do a sweep attack, so jump straight up and then press jump again to kick her in the head. She'll also sometimes fly up into the air. If she throws her shuriken, you can block them by holding the block button. From the air, she will sometimes perform an unblockable attack. Again, the red kanji symbol is your cue. But it's pretty easy to avoid. Just wait in one spot, dodging out of the way when she swoops down. Follow up your own thrust and a few extra swings. Eventually, you'll break her posture. After 1 death blow, she'll enter her second illusion phase, periodically pausing to summon enemies from the ground. They're slow, and to avoid them, just run around the edges of the arena. More dangerous are the butterflies of light that appear when she dispels the illusion. They'll fly at you in a pack for a huge damage. Either hide behind a pillar or sprint as fast as you can and they'll zip behind you. Genichiro Ashina. He is one of my favorite bosses in the game, but also one of the toughest. His posture breaks quickly, so you want to aggro him. Attacking whenever possible, attacks will also cancel some of his animations, which is pretty damn handy. The key to beating his first phase is simply to learn his attack patterns. Play more cautiously when you first face him and block out through his swipes. The combo to look out for is the string of 8 or 9 hits in a row, which starts with 2 spinning slashes, then he pauses, and then he continues with a flurry of strikes. These attacks happen in a quick succession, and usually pressing parry as fast as you can will deflect them, damaging his posture. When he backs off, watch out for his arrow attack, which usually leads into a forward roll and a sword swipe. If he jumps high and backwards, he's about to spam you with arrows, so tap that parry button. Also, bear in mind that he will fire an arrow whenever you heal. So, hold block immediately after you heal to prevent damage, or you can just dodge out of it. Keep an eye out for his thrusts, which you can counter for huge posture damage if you have the Makiri counter unlocked. And after one death blow, he will add an unblockable sweep. They're easy to distinguish, and the timing on both makes them easy to counter once you recognize their cues. Once again, stay aggressive and in his face, and you should break his posture within a couple of minutes. You could also use firecrackers or the axe, a prosthetic tool. They absolutely melt his posture. When he reaches his lightning-powered second phase, you have two options. He's essentially the same as his first phase, but with some extra lightning attacks, which you can't block. If you press upon him, you can use the same tactics as the first phase. Just make sure you dodge out of the way of his lightning strikes. You'll see the sparks when he's charging them, which means it's time to sprint to the side. However, we found that it's instead more reliable to keep your distance and bait out those lightning strikes. The counter is fiddly but will reliably eat a quarter of his health bar. Basically, when he's about to attack, you want to jump into the air, take the lightning hit, and then press the attack button before you hit the ground. This will reverse all the lightning damage back onto Genichiro. The key is not jumping too early, just let some of the animation play before you jump. Stay calm. No pressure. Only hit the attack button after his attack connects. 4 of those should finish him off. The Guardian Ape is a pretty annoying boss fight, but the key to the Guardian Ape fight is to be very aggressive, believe it or not. You might naturally want to back off from his big ground slams, but you need to be close to him to take advantage when he gets tired. Plus, sticking close means he won't fling his poison poo, which is perhaps his hardest attack to counter. Generally, you want to stay around his feet, countering his attacks, and jumping when the red symbol flashes on screen and he tries to grab you. If you don't feel comfortable parrying, just simply hold the block button and let him stomp around. You can absorb pretty much everything. When he's done with the combo, get in a couple of shots and go back to blocking. Look out for the attack where he rolls around on the ground. He shimmies from left to right and can damage you as long as he is moving. When he does this, move to the behind of his head. Wait for him to stop rolling and get in a few swipes. If he does throw poo, just make sure you're close to him. You can sprint underneath him to avoid the attack. When you have beheaded him, he moves into his second haunted stage, carrying his head in one hand and a weapon in the other. The main thing you'll want to avoid is his terror scream, which deals damage and fills your terror bar. If it's full, you'll die. Normally, he'll do it when you stay close for an extended time, and you'll know it's coming when he brings its head up to its neck. Otherwise, you'll want to follow the same tactics as the first phase, pairing once you get to use to his attack cadence. It's a little funky at first, and his movements appear very unnatural, but his attacks are fairly rhythmic once you get used to them. Again, blocking is fine, that is until he rears up. Sword above his head, he's about to do a power attack. And it's crucial that you parry it instead of blocking. If you're successful, he'll slap on the ground, exhausted, and you can get in 5 sword strikes, or just simply use the spear, which will do much more damage. Okay, this fight is basically the same as the first one. It's just that you gotta watch out for the second stage. In the second stage, he's gonna call in his girlfriend, which is gonna be a pain in the ass, and she's gonna come like near the middle. When you finish off his first stage, just run towards the middle and spam firecrackers when you see him ending his scream. Because when he ends his scream, that's when she's gonna come. That's basically it. There's nothing much. Just follow what I did. That is what I said for the previous boss fight, and you'll beat him in the same way. The Corrupted Monk fight is a war of attrition. Its posture recovers very fast until it's down to a third or less health, so trying to parry early on is futile. Instead, back off and bait its attacks. When it finishes combos, rush in for a few hits and then back out. Start at every fight, rush in immediately for a few free attacks. I recommend using Mortal Draw skill if you got it unlocked. If not, use the Whirlwind Slash. You can use Divine Confetti to deal much more damage, but only use this once you know the monk's attack patterns. The confetti is rare, so using it on a losing run is a waste. Follow the same pattern of baiting attacks, rushing in and backing off until the monk is at a third of health. You can also use snap seeds and firecrackers, which will absolutely melt him. Emma, the Gentle Blade. You will fight her if you decide to betray Kuro and obey your father. The first two consecutive boss fights you'll meet, if you forsake Kuro for the Shura ending, you won't have a chance to recover between fights, so you'll want to finish Emma off without using many healing gourds. Thankfully, you can take her down quickly. There are two methods. The first is cheesy but works nearly every time. All you need to do is back away from her and sprint around her in circles to the left. She'll try various sword attacks to close the gap, but each time they'll be too slow to catch up to you. When the attack is over, she'll be standing still, which is your chance to dart in and get a few swipes on her. Repeat this until she is dead. If that feels underhanded, then you can win just as quickly, if not quicker, by being the aggressor. Maxing out her posture bar in no time, push forward and attack her. She'll start deflecting and countering, which is your cue to deflect yourself. Staying close will avoid her deadliest moves, keeping her to 3 or 4 hit combos that are easier to get to grips with. Just tap deflect in a regular fast rhythm. However, she does have a few attacks that can be frustrating to deal with. For an example, her sweep attack has a big wind-up, so jump when you see her stretching her sword back, and kick her in the head for huge posture damage. She also has a lunge attack, but if you press forward you won't see it very often. And you can simply parry it off. The dangerous one is her grab. She'll wave her hands in front of her face while she charges it up. When she does that, bail out. She'll sometimes pirouette backwards and hold her sword above her head, which leads into a forward slashing attack. Be ready to parry, or even better, attack her after she steps back to interrupt the move. It's another reason to be aggressive as possible. If you end up further from her, watch out for her flying unblockable thrust. Use your Makiri counter, a charged attack where she puts her sword away first. When it glints in its sheath, she is about to strike, so make sure you're sprinting to the side. Ishinashina is the final boss fight for the Shura ending, and he's a tough nut to crack. You'll face him in 2 phases, and in the second one he deals fire damage, occasionally setting the whole area ablaze. Make sure you have some dowsing powder handy before you take him on. This can be a long drawn out fight. His posture will recover quickly until his health is less than half. And there are very few chances to deal damage. He'll also dodge your first attack whenever you try and hit him from a neutral stance. Swing once to draw out a spinning counter, which you should deflect. It's hard to predict what he'll do next, and your main hope is just to watch closely and figure out what he's pulling. Sometimes it's a simple combo which you can deflect, sometimes it's a grab. Look for a similar cue to Emma's. Others Other times he'll perform a thrusting attack, respond with a dodge to the side and a follow-up attack of your own. Your only hope is to attack right at the end of these moves, usually with just a single attack and then reset. The easiest attack to punish is his overhead slash, where he'll raise his sword above his head with two hands. He'll attack forward once and then once again. Stay close to him and dodge to the side, and then rush into him. Then rush in to hit him. When his health is low, keep parrying and dealing chip damage until either his health or posture is spent. Then prepare for the heat. His second phase adds a whole new set of attacks that deal burn damage. As soon as the phase starts, he'll hunch over and start growling. He's about to set the room on fire. Quick, use your firecracker to stun him and get a few hits in. You'll want to do this whenever he begins the move. If you don't get there in time, just try your best to avoid the fire spots on the floor, which will flare once and then a second time with more vigor for huge damage. Great Shinobi Owl. This fight is an awful lot like your earlier fights against Genichiro. Owl uses a mix of long range and close range attacks, but also has a couple of other tricks up his shinobi sleeves. The usual rules about deflecting everything you can apply here, of course. But there are other things to pay attention to. If he raises his foot into the air, you will want to back off as quickly as you can. This is a brutal grab that does obscene damage and cannot be blocked. He also occasionally takes a knee before tossing up an item. Run around to the back of him when he does this for a few free hits, but don't let the mist touch you. It stops you using items for 30 seconds and will make him play much more aggressively, which means he wants to go for the kill when he hits you with the mist. His second phase involves him using smoke bombs and poison attacks. Whenever he chucks a smoke bomb, just run out of the cloud away from him. You should be able to avoid the poison he throws when he backflips just by moving away from him. And the difference between Great Shinobi Owl and Father Owl is that Father Owl is much more aggressive all the time, while Great Shinobi Owl is just more aggressive when he hits you with the mist. Also, you need to dodge the firecrackers. If you get hit by the firecrackers, you're basically dead. Also, never use a thrust attack against him, because he also has a Makiri counter, and if you're not full HP, he's basically gonna one-shot you. The Corrupted Monk, my personal favorite boss in the whole game. This boss has 3 phases instead of 1, unlike the other false Corrupted Monk. The first phase is almost identical to the version you have already fought. Parry your way to the first death blow and then the fun starts. I guess you could call it fun. Upon entering the second phase, a black mist will descend. This is your cue to start grappling around like Spider-Man. This will happen a few times in this phase and signals the appearance of several ghost monks, who are better avoided. If you use the grapple points either side of the bridge, this is easy to do, just don't stop moving. Phase 3 reveals one of the creep centipedes and a few new attacks. This is closer to the first phase than the second one, but he has a new unblockable attack. Upon seeing him raise his arm and the red kanji, you want to nip to the back of him to avoid the insectoid spray. It causes terror and will probably kill you. It also leaves him open though, so get hacking. Just keep on top of the other attacks while noting that this and he will fall in no time. The Divine Dragons of the Tree. This is definitely one of the easier fights in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. There will be a horde of small dragons for you to take out, so run around a lot and introduce them to your dash attack. They will spit out poison occasionally, but it is easily avoided. They will summon a tree to attack you, but this is easy to spot as you will see it writhing around beneath you before it attacks. Just run in circles until it's over. Brown dragons will eventually appear, but you can just ignore them. You need to finish out the white ones to get to the Divine Dragon fight. The Divine Dragon boss. This fight looks way more intimidating than it actually is. The dragon's sword attacks can be avoided by simply running to the side of the vertical slashes or jumping over the horizontal ones. In order to take out the boss, you want to look around for the electrified trees. Grapple up to these and then use the lightning to attack the boss. The Divine Dragon will fall quickly. The Demon of Hatred. This boss is large and one of the few fights that doesn't really factor in posture. The demon has a huge posture bar, so it will more often than not be better to just slowly whittle down his health. You generally want to be by his leading leg, as it allows you to circle to the left and avoid most attacks while also dealing out damage. The unblockable attacks change as you go through the death blows needed to kill him off. Generally speaking, the best way to avoid them is to simply run away from the boss. He will occasionally jump and land, causing a wave of fire. Your best bet is to grapple onto him after for some easy hits. Keep an eye out for grapple opportunities throughout the fight, as it is always a good chance to get damage in. For the final phase, he has a lot of fireballs. He launches them in barrages of 8, so pay attention to them, but make sure you're running in a circle to avoid them. If you head back towards him as he is firing off the last one, you should be able to get some more damage in. This is also the phase where being underneath him isn't as safe. I recommend using a whistle, cause that will stun him, and you will basically skip the final phase. The final boss fight in the game. Genichiro Way of Tomo. While this fight is very similar to your earlier encounter with Genichiro, the main difference is you now have his mortal blade to watch out for. He will occasionally crouch and charge an attack. Move backwards away from him during this, as it does huge damage. He can also turn this into a 2-hit combo if you are careless, so make sure that you aren't. Other than that, he only needs one death blow, so make good use of your parry and the Mikiri counter in order to take him out. Once you defeat Genichiro, you will fight Tishin, the Sword Saint. Phase 1 is just a straight up sword fight. It is the easiest of the phases in terms of deflecting his attacks. The key things to keep in mind mostly involves timing. He uses peculiar timing to his attacks that mean if you want to get the full deflections, you really need to watch his attacks. There are chances to Mikiri counter him as well as jump on his head, so keep an eye on his movements. When he sheaths his sword, it usually means he is about to dash at you. If you run away from him, you should be able to get a free hit in before he fully recovers. Phase 2 and 3 both involve him using a big old spear. This complicates things if you want to parry attacks, as his timings are even more messed up and now he has a ridiculous range. There is a trick that works in both phases though. If you run in a circle around him, he will attempt a jump attack. Run under him when he does and use a running attack before running away again. You can whittle away his health without even worrying about anything else. That is about it for this video. I did not include the folding screen monkeys because they are very easy to defeat. All you have to do is throw a shuriken at them, but they will be stunned. You can kill them easily in one shot. And I also did not include the Great Serpent because it takes a lot of steps, but you will get it throughout the game on your own if you just play. That's about it. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. It will help me out a lot, and I will be making more videos. If you like this video, hit that like button. It's just a simple click. It does not cost you anything, as well as subscribing. It will just motivate me to keep making content for you guys. Thank you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.